We're gonna go out here, we're filming a cool Anna White project. She's known in the industry as making cool plans that you can build yourself, similar to our products. Obviously, we make awesome products, kits that you guys can do yourself. So, Steph's gonna follow me out here. We've already got the setup out here. YouTube Alley, we call this YouTube Alley, right? We've got all these cool sets where we film on. We got the guys, got everything set up. James is on the camera. Kyle's in the white shirt. We got Trey somewhere around here. You guys have probably seen all these guys in videos before. We got Jenny in the background doing her thing. There's Trey. And then obviously we got guys in the warehouse making stuff. There comes a point in time when we go to film and we kind of tell everyone to keep it down. They still work, but they just try not to make a bunch of noise. So pretty cool little, just massive. We got a basketball court, just a bunch of cool, fun stuff here. So yeah, so this is the Anna White table. It's gonna be really cool when we're done. We're throwing a Ligari twist on it. We're gonna be coating the top. We built this exactly to her specs. We'll have, when we launch this video, we'll put the link below so you guys can get that too if you guys wanna build it. So again, we're gonna coat the top. Got it prepped already. We got it primed. We got our dam on the edge. That's gonna hold the resin in, because we're gonna do one of our stone kits on here using the dirty pour process. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So James, we're getting ready to film mixing. I'm gonna go over mixing again. This is kind of like a tutorial video we're gonna launch. So we'll be really thorough, and then I'll try to talk with you guys as well. Maybe answer some questions. Maybe these guys can answer some questions. So it should be pretty fun behind the scenes here. So this is kind of how it goes down. All right. I'll do the orange.
Really?
Mixing Anna White. Gotta sync up the mics. So we got the table prepped. I'll kind of go over that before we pour the stuff out. I'm gonna go over mixing. We're gonna be using a 1.5 gallon kit with our white pigment. So this top is 20 square feet. When we do our stone kit process on here, we do 8 ounces per square foot. So we're gonna make a little extra. I think we call it for, what is it, 160?
Yeah, 160.
So call it for 160. We're gonna just make a 1.5 gallon kit. Makes it simple. Maybe we'll do it a little thicker. So I got all the stuff I need to mix here. 1.5 gallon kit of our metallic epoxy clear, our white pigment, and then I got the 2 5-gallon mixing buckets. You'll see what that's for. We like to do secondary mixing buckets just to ensure that all the product gets mixed thoroughly, no soft spots, stuff like that. Highly recommend following the 3-2 process. Got the drill, paddle wheel. Our dirty pour buckets, we're gonna batch up here. We're gonna be using French beige spray paint. We're trying to match the wood, right? We talked about maybe staining it black, but I like the color. It's natural looking, so we're gonna keep that. We're gonna try to match it with that. Cool thing about this is if you guys do this table and you wanna switch up the spray paint color, that's totally fine. Maybe you wanna add another color, doesn't really matter, right? You just pick the spray paint color. Maybe you wanna use all the Ligari effects, a lot of options, so you don't have to do this exact setup. Again, you can stain it black, stain it brown, do the top black, doesn't really matter, but this is kind of what we picked to do for the Anna White project. Got my gloves, isopropyl, denatured alcohol, and I think that's it. I think that's all we got. This is for spraying the spray paint into the cup. And so I'll go over mixing, and then I'll just show you. So what I'm gonna do first is pour the A in, 5-gallon bucket. Then I'm gonna pour the part B into the 5-gallon bucket, and then I'll add the pigment. Now you can add the pigment into the part A before you add the B if you want, and mix it in. Maybe I'll do that just to show you. The only thing is if you're measuring out like certain amounts on measuring containers, you never want to add the liquid pigment before you add the hardener, because that's going to screw up your ratios, right? So again, just if you're measuring out of a container, right, making a certain amount, don't add the pigment before you add the hardener. Since these are already pre-measured jugs, I can add the hardener, and then I can add the liquid pigment to the part A before the hardener. Hopefully that makes sense. And then, so once we get the product in, I'm gonna go from the top. So this is the 3P2 process. It's very, very simple. And again, this is vital when mixing epoxy, because you never wanna have unmixed resin on your projects, it's just an absolute nightmare to fix. And so 3P2, what it stands for is I'm gonna start at the top when the resin's in there, spin the drill from the middle, go to the bottom. Once I hit the bottom, I'll go around a couple times, I'll come back up slow. Once I hit the top, I'll go around a couple times, that stands for 1. So we're gonna do that 3 times up and down, and then we're gonna pour, so 3 up and down, P stands for pour, secondary mixing container. What that's gonna do is get all the part A off the sides that didn't get mixed in thoroughly, dumped into the second one, and then we're gonna go up and down 2 more times. So very simple process. And if you're only mixing 1.5 gallons, we got a smaller paddle.
Yep.
We'll use a smaller paddle wheel, because this will just, it's almost impossible to go up and down, right? And it's a little more difficult when you're only mixing 1.5 gallons because there's so much product in the bucket. But I'll kind of show you what it looks like. That's pretty much it. Very, very simple. Tim came up with that process, and ever since we've been using it and teaching it, never had soft spots, sticky spots, unmixed resin on any project.
Forgot you like the smaller ones.
Huh?
1.5.
What?
So I forgot you like the smaller ones for 1.5.
All right, so I'll get my gloves on, and we'll just go to mixing. Sometimes you'll get the shots. So what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna pour the part A, I'll add the pigment, and then I'll add the B, and then we'll go to the 3P2 process, and that process will actually mix the pigment in as well. So part A. So yeah, guys, if you've done this process, comment below, let us know what you think. If you haven't, I highly recommend trying it. It's awesome, it's fast. We don't have to like mix for a certain amount of time. We can just do this process and we'll know with certainty that our product's gonna get hard.
People are asking what the difference between your products are from one another. So concrete overlay and epoxy, I assume.
Yeah, so overlays are a cementous product. Polymer cementous, right? Like cement. Very, very different, right? So those are interior, exterior, right? Driveways, patios, pool decks. We got a lot of different cool stuff. Walls. And yeah, walls. All these walls are our concrete overlays. These shelves right here, built them out of wood, turned them into concrete. The LaGuardia Nation wall, our concrete overlay. And then obviously epoxies are like a resinous. They set up chemically, mainly for interior, right? People do them outside, but we don't recommend it just because it can be very slippery, right? Epoxy floors. Okay, so one thing I didn't point out is we tilt these guys back, these jugs. We tilt those back so to let the resin drain out of the handle. The resin will build up in that handle. So we'll tilt that back a little. We'll let it drain out. Got any other questions? Yeah, ask them. I got some time to answer questions, guys, so ask away.
Let's see.
And then if I get time, we'll kind of walk around and I'll show you some of these floors. We got some really cool floors in here. Like I said, the walls, we got the gym, the basketball court. So a lot of these are just different coatings of our products.
I want to show them at the table.
All right, so we're gonna cap this. Let that drain out until it slowly is dripping out a steady stream. Now we're gonna add our B. Also, if you guys are familiar with Anna White, let us know. Some pretty cool stuff. A lot of different design options you guys can pick from and build. Some more intricate than others. This is actually a very, very simple process. It's a floating table, so it has a gap here, and it looks really cool. But again, yeah, it was very simple to build. Didn't need a lot of tools, supplies. Same thing, we'll tilt that back, let the carpet be drained out of the handle. Alright, we're gonna cap this. said, when they're pre-measured, we can add the pigment. It's just not gonna screw up our ratio. This is our white. If you guys get these pigments and it's been in a cold environment, it will thicken up and get kind of really thick on you. So you can just put them in some warm water, right? Don't let the water go to the lids. Just set them in warm water for a little bit and it'll thin them out and they'll be nice and fluid.
Someone was asking how they can get the product.
Ligari.com. We have one of the easiest ordering processes on the market with our kits, and then obviously, if you know, a lot of contractors and stuff, they like to buy in bulk, and so you can go to our single item section and buy pretty much everything that's in kits in bulk. Obviously, you can order overlays, epoxies, prep products, crack repair, stuff like that. A lot of options.
Sorry. And the fastest processing times in the industry too.
That's right, fastest processing times in the industry, don't forget it. All right, so again, I don't have a lot of resin in here. I'm gonna talk to you guys. I don't have a lot of resin in here, so 3P2 is a little bit, 3 gallons would be up to here, a little easier to do, but this is what it looks like. You wanna jump in here, Stephen, and maybe get an overhead shot? So like I said, I'm gonna start at the top, I'm gonna spin to the bottom slowly. Once I hit the bottom, go around a little. Come back up slow. Get to the top, spin around a little bit. So again, that's one. We're gonna do that 2 more times. There's 2. Jay, you wanna grab my shoes? Got special coating shoes. I'll knock out my good ones. And then a little tip for you is if you knock them out and spray paint them black, you just spray paint them, look brand new, it's awesome. Use matte, black matte spray paint. Okay, so we got the 3 done for the 3P2. So now I'm gonna pour it into my secondary container. And we've been asked a lot, like, see how I mixed that really wild, induced a bunch of air. It doesn't matter with our resin. We don't have to mix it by hand. It has additives in the resin that allow the bubbles to rise and pop as it's carrying out. So don't worry about mixing it wild or inducing air when you're mixing our product. Okay, so we're gonna pour secondary mixing container. I've done this a lot, so I'm usually pretty clean. If it's your first time, you might be a little more messy than I am. So I like to notch it. So these notches on the buckets, I'll set it on one of those notches so it holds it. Start at the top. Scrape that down. So what this is doing is getting all the part A on the edges that weren't mixed in. I'll scrape the bottom. I'll get the majority out. Scoop it. Notice when I pull the stick out, I go straight up. I'll show you why. If I scooped it and pulled the stick way out here, I got product on my stick. It's going to be leaking on the bucket, on the floor, right? We always try to keep a nice, clean mixing area. We don't want to spend a lot of time getting the product out, but we want to get as much out as we can, right? and down 2 more times and we are ready to coat and a white table.
Want me to jump in and do the spray paint?
I'll do that in a minute. I'll talk about that. Alright, so this batch is ready. So biggest thing when you're mixing resin, once it's mixed, I'm gonna get it out quick. You'll kind of see that. Take our time here, we do it a lot. Hey guys, I'm gonna film for the video, so hold on a sec, okay? Cool tip for you is cleaning your paddle wheels, right? You want to make sure these are clean. If you let this harden on the paddle wheel, you go to mix more product, it's going to eventually start flaking off and get into your batches. So we got a cool way to do that. Since we mix stuff like almost every day, we got a bucket of alcohol and a lid on it so it doesn't evaporate. And you can we've used this quite a bit. So you can always strain it too, reuse it, right? This stuff lasts for a long time, but we probably clean out. How many things we cleaned out in here?
100? A lot.
Yeah, quite a bit. So obviously I'll tilt this so if the splash doesn't get in my face. Forward and backward. And all we gotta do is wipe it off. Perfectly clean paddle wheel. It's a really cool tip for you. Do that. It's like brand new, never used.
Yeah, someone was asking how you clean the paddles and then brushes, if you clean the brushes.
No, we throw away brushes, buckets we throw away. There's no point trying to clean that stuff. Paddle wheels are a little more expensive. And we use a lot of chip brushes, they're cheap, but I wouldn't use like a high-end paintbrush, right? Because you're just gonna throw it away. Can you clean it? Yeah, but if you've ever cleaned paint off a paintbrush, it's similar, probably times 10, right? Trying to get all that resin out, so we just toss them. Buy the cheap ones, toss them.
Yeah. Then someone asked about the buckets too.
I'll throw them away.
Just if you reuse them or clean them.
No, we throw them away too. Usually, like if we do a large project, we'll coat it one day, put all the buckets somewhere, let them harden, let all the resin harden, and then we'll just throw them in bags and throw them away. All right, so we're going back to James. All right, guys, gonna film for the video. It's kind of one of the downfalls of being in the warehouse with production, right? But we figured out a cool way to make it happen. We got a little, what do you call that, microphone over there? We'll turn it on.
Oh,
Here,
megaphone.
yeah, let's show them what we do.
You want to do the megaphone?
Yeah, but make sure it's on the table so it's not loud. So everybody knows, like, when we pop this thing on, they need to kind of try to keep it quiet.
Are we going to be pouring it out?
Yeah, we're gonna go over, I'll turn it off. So again, once it's mixed, right, don't sit here and dink off like we are, dump it out. We just use this stuff all the time. We know how much time we have with it.
Someone's asking what kind of top coat they should use for an outdoor project and how long it will last before recoating.
Yeah, so top coat's outdoor. Only one to probably use is our urethane, WB urethane. Comes in gloss or matte, 100% UV stable, and the longevity of that really depends on like the traffic and wear. Like if it's a counter, you're gonna get, 5 to 10 years, maybe even longer. Flooring, maybe not as long. Again, it just depends on how much traffic it gets, how much you use it. But the urethanes are awesome. We've coated so many things with our urethanes. And the urethane can go over not only our products, but other products, right? It can go over wood. We've had someone put our matte urethane over their cabinets after they painted them. What else have we done our urethane on?
Yeah, I matted my table legs and my dining room table.
So he painted his table legs. We launched that video, and then he put the matte urethane over them. We were gonna stain this black. You wanna grab that board tray? So we did a little test board. We were gonna stain these black, and then put our matte urethane over them, but again, we decided this is just a cool look. So this is black stain with our matte urethane over it. And then these are actually our Ligari stains, our concrete overlay stains. We were gonna maybe do one of these too, but again, we decided to just keep it that raw wood look. Looks really cool. All right. Batching out dirty pour batches. Okay, so once you have your 3P2 mixing process done, biggest thing is get the product out of the bucket, get it in the batches, and dump on whatever project you're doing as soon as you can. We never want to let it sit here. It will start to heat up. Obviously, the more epoxy in a mass, the faster it will heat up. So what we're going to do is Kyle's going to start spraying. He's going to give me some liquid spray paint. I'm going to put a rag over here. Make sure you shake these up really good. And then if you're spraying in like this, you're not going to get the color, right? So you want to kind of hold it down when you spray into there. And then we put the rag over the top just to keep the fumes and stuff overspray from coming out. So you can get a shot of that. Oh shoot. Sorry. What's that? Well, what are these, 24 ounces times 6? What is that? 20 times 6? 900?
Yeah.
Okay, we got a question. Should I put base primer coat on OSB before starting my concrete overlay wall project? Base primer. Your concrete overlay wall should come with a primer. So yeah, you should put the primer over the wood, right? That's gonna kind of seal it up. Because if you anytime you coat over a porous surface, you need to hydrate with the overlay. Because like if, say, you're going over a porous wood surface, you start putting overlay on there without a primer, what's gonna happen is it's gonna suck all the polymers and moisture out of the overlay. And it's gonna be really hard to work with. So we send out in those kits a wall primer, right? It's our prep replacement primer, and that'll kind of seal up the wood and get a really good bond, and then it doesn't suck all the moisture out because it kind of seals up that wood. So hopefully that's what you're asking. All right, so I got my liquid spray paint here, and then what color was this?
It's French beige.
French beige, perfect.
Rust-Oleum.
So what we're gonna do is, we did a little sample board. We always like to do sample boards just to check colors, right? Sometimes we've done projects where, man, you put a color down and it don't look good. Like one of them looked like a smoker yellow color, One of them looked like a smoker yellow color. And so again, it's always good. You can do little small pieces too, right? Especially larger projects, maybe even contractors doing customer projects. Another tip, this would be for you guys too, is that when you're doing project contractors, whenever you do a project, have a board there that you can coat at the same time, and you'll start to amass an array of sample boards of all different things that you can show to clients, because everyone's different, right? You might do some wild, crazy blue and green and yellow counter, and then down the road you might run into someone that's like, hey, have you ever done blue and green? Well, hey, you got this board you can show them. So, little tip: have a board ready on all your projects and make sample boards. Okay, so what we're gonna do, these are our batches. So we came up with this process, coating counters. A lot of companies have kind of, followed suit, which is cool, whatever, right? We post it online so people are gonna copy it. We used to tape the edges, right? We still do on stuff. A lot of times when we coat the kitchen though, we coat it so many times the edges taper off. So we do weather stripping, right? It doesn't blow out, doesn't build up, it doesn't let it build up the stick on the edge. And so we're doing weather stripping on this one, but again, we use painter's tape a lot. You'll see a lot of people doing that now. Reason is we did some dirty pours on some projects, and what happened was they looked beautiful when we did them, came back 20 minutes later, and it all ran off, right? So we're thinking, how could we do this on a counter? Because most dirty pours, people are tilting, making stuff move around. And so what we did was we tried it on the counter in the back, tape the edges, but like, hey, let's tape the edges, let it set up, pull it. Sure enough, worked like a champ. That's what started the stone kit line in our arsenal. And yeah, it's just a really cool process to get these really natural looks. But yeah, it's really simple. You don't even have to really touch the resin. But what we're gonna do different on this one is we're gonna go straight lines back and forth, right? You've seen us do a lot where you just do random patterns. It looks really cool, but we're gonna go more of like a wood grain look, right? I'm gonna just be pulling out beads all the way down, back and forth. It's gonna look really cool. And so, batching these out, very simple. You can add, if you add the color into the bottom before you pour, it will muddy out the color a little, which looks cool. So we might do that in maybe one or two, probably one of these. And then the rest, I'll just have Kyle add a little bit to the top, and that's what will give us some really good color. So yeah, we'll batch these up. So that's a good tip for you guys is when you're doing these dirty pour processes, if you add the color into the bottom, what's gonna happen is when you add the white, it's gonna blend in, or whatever color, it'll blend in to that resin more, which is a cool look. But if you want more dominant color, you wanna pour onto the top, give it a little shake so you're not pouring straight, you know, spray paint on or something, and then you pour it out and you get more dominant color of that spray paint. And it'll make sense once we do it. So I'm gonna start with just a little bit here. And then again, I think the rest we're gonna add to the top. So you can see how it blends in. See that? Try not to make a mess here since we're gonna be walking around here. And never fill up your cups too full. It can be a pain in the butt to pour them out.
Someone's asking what's your preferred top coat?
My preferred one, counters are matte. I just love the matte look. Floors too, I did my garage in matte. Gloss, you know, gloss is right there too though. Gloss is a really cool look, but yeah, I would say the matte urethane for epoxies.
Someone asked if you can put epoxy on a drywall.
Like on like drywall, like it goes on the wall, probably.
Probably.
No, because I mean you could. You'd want to prime it and stuff, but it's not really a. It's kind of a brittle product, right? You can pretty much coat over anything that's a hard surface. Sheetrock may be hard, but like I said, it's brittle. It's very porous. Like if it gets wet, it soaks in and breaks apart. So I wouldn't recommend going over sheetrock. Okay, I think we're ready. All right, so I'll kind of bring them up to speed, right? What we did, and then we'll pour it out.
Sounds good.
We've got my shoes right here. Fancy. Are these old or what?
Yeah, I don't know where your shoes went, man.
Ah, these are fire.
They're the exact same shoe.
They're
Those should actually probably be your new ones.
no, I don't think so.
Toss those other
We
ones.
can show these guys. So this is the Anna White. This is the Anna White table, right? Floating table. Okay, and then she has all the directions on how to build it. All right, build your frame. Yeah, it has a list, tools you're gonna need. Start with the frame, legs. So we pretty much followed all these directions to a T. Built the table. It actually looks really, really cool. I love the floating, how it looks like it's floating. Might be hard to tell with the tape, but there is a gap all the way around this. Okay, so I'll talk, James, about what we did to prep this. Talking about prepping the table. So we do that so it syncs up audio, and then when the editors get the video, right? Am I saying this right?
You are.
So when the editors get the video, easy for them separate from the camera. You got to upload both. It's pretty cool. So, okay, so before we got everything mixed, I'm going to just talk about prep, what we did to get to this point. It was hollow core door. They sanded it, they rounded all the corners, never coat over a square edge. Always round your corners. The resin will not want to flow over a square edge. It's nice. Most likely have spots where it's missed. So all the edges are sanded. And then we primed it white, so we're doing white over it. And then we have the weather stripping around the edges to create that dam, because we're doing our stone kit process, which incorporates a dirty pour technique. Right out of a bucket. And then make sure your stuff's level too, right? So we put a level on this. If you guys have to, tweak it a little bit to get it level, take the time to do that, because last thing you want to do is do a beautiful design, come back later and it's all ran. One corner is going to really screw it up. So everything's good. Make sure you press your weather stripping down. And we're going to start pouring this. So we have all the batches here, right? We have a bunch of white ones. I'll just tell Kyle when I need color. He's just going to add a little bit to the top. I'll shake it around a little and going long line patterns. It's going to look like a wood grain, and this will kind of match, not perfectly, but it should match really good with the raw wood that we have on this side. Okay, first one, here we go. Trey's working hard.
Start this camera.
So when you guys are pouring, like when you're trying to do this pattern right here, it's almost like whenever you start, you pour like a pile, right? And so what I'll do is I'll pinch the cup to try to get more of a bead. Again, we're trying to do straight lines. We'll probably come back with a paint stick or our fingers and maybe straighten some out. Again, nature's all different, right? It's not perfect, so if we have a couple that are a little crooked or random, it's gonna look good anyways.
Someone's asking if you have any training.
Training, right? So working on an online academy that, it's out of control. We've been filming projects off-site, nonstop. We've been going around to contractors that are doing projects, right, their jobs, talking that no one's ever seen, right? Way better than like a class where you would come. We used to do classes here. These would be the floors we would coat. You don't really learn as much as you could watching these videos we've been filming on site with contractors and stuff. So it's going to be out of control. We've been doing that for the last year, probably a year, nonstop. We go out a couple times a week, different projects. Sometimes we'll go do stuff, but we've just been filming everything. We have such a massive amount of installation footage, real world applications, right? Stuff that you're going to run into when you're actually doing projects versus like a training class in a controlled environment. So we're hoping to have that launch soon. We're working diligently on it, but yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's going to be very, very impressive when it's done. It'll be the world's largest database of tutorial videos in the coating industry.
We have a website you can.
Yeah, what is it?
LagardeAcademy.com.
Yeah, so go to LagardeAcademy.com and kind of see the gist of it. Sign up, get on the wait list there, and then when we launch it, you get notified. Thanks for bringing that up. It's awesome. Okay, so just wanted to say, guys, these have been sitting in a container for a long time. I don't recommend that. Try to have everything ready to go before you mix. That way, once you mix, you can dump this stuff out right away. So I don't need a clap, or we good?
You're good.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is pinch the bucket, the container. Reason is because when I start, I still might do it, I don't know. But when I start, I don't wanna pour a big pile and then go to skinny vein, okay? So here we go, first pour. So again, we're gonna do a bunch of these guys. And then if I wanna add more color, I'll just tell Kyle, give me some color. So we're going for like a more subtle look. We don't want a lot of color out here. But you can see it's almost impossible to not get a little bead on that edge, right? And notice I'm jumping around all over the table. I'm not pouring this whole bucket out on this one section because now I have the color that's here. I also have it over here. I have it in the middle. I need to say that again.
He's grabbing batteries.
Am I dead?
This was
Okay.
2 bars.
I'll talk about it later. So, you can never really take color out, right? You can always add color. So it's good to start with less, and if you want to add more, we can add more. Last thing you want to do is put too much color out there, and then you got to try to figure out how to get that color out, right? It's always better to start with less and then add more. I kind of like that. I wonder if you, Trey, you want to grab a paint stick too?
What do you like?
What I like is how it looks like it's in the counter. So this is what I was talking about. If you add the color into the bottom and then you dump the epoxy on top, it's gonna bring it into the epoxy and make it look really natural. So we'll do one. We'll do this bucket with Kyle adding a little to the top, and you'll see the difference. Just a little bit, Kyle. Perfect. So then I'm gonna shake it around a little, right? And then I'm gonna, same thing, I'm gonna pinch it, and then you'll see how much more color comes out. So you see right here still? So a little different, right, versus all of these. Got a lot of color there.
We're back on that.
Okay, so I need to clap. No.
This will be your first.
You can see the difference. Really still white, real subtle. And then we have these darker ones from adding the color onto the top. Really dark spot there. So what I was talking about is the first bucket we poured, we put the color into the bottom, added the epoxy, that kind of muddies out that color. And so you get these really natural look. It looks like it's inside the epoxy. It's really, really cool, really natural looking. And then if you add it to the top, it's still cool looking, but you'll have more of that color. And so like this one right here, we got a lot of color that came out, right? So it just depends on the look you're going for. But notice I'm jumping all over the table. I'm not just pouring one bucket out in the same spot every time. You want to make sure it's kind of random all throughout. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a paint stick, I'm gonna mix this up, right? Kind of mimic that being poured into the bottom because I like how that's looking a little better.
You want me to just do that to all of them?
Yeah, maybe like 3 of them. So Kyle can go around and do that for me.
What color was this again?
It's French beige by Rust-Oleum.
Right there.
Thanks, Trey.
Just beautiful. Just beautiful.
Looks awesome.
Just what we envisioned. Very subtle, elegant. I just want to make sure, right, we got a pretty even color all throughout it. Looks really, really cool. Went out of a container. Beautiful batch, Kyle. Kyle, you answer a lot of questions. You can think of anything people ask, you can answer.
A lot of people ask how long to wait to pull the tape, stuff like that.
That's a great question. So, really depends on how long it took you to mix, right? The temperatures in your room. A good rule of thumb is like 45 minutes to an hour. Obviously, if it's colder out, resin will take longer to set up. But I'll show you a cool way, once we're done, how to check for the right time to pull it. It's basically when the resin kind of starts to thicken up. It doesn't want to just immediately level itself back out. Yeah, those tones they're close, man. Very close. Right, Stephanie?
Right.
Hold on, we might
pretty.
gotta move some cars.
Oh, maybe my car.
So look, I just poured one out, super brown color, so I want to jump maybe right here, get some of that brown there. Notice just constantly pouring straight lines, right? I'll probably mess with that a little when we're done. Any spots that we don't like, we can kind of mess with and blend in a little more.
I'll make some more.
Yeah, let's mix some more in there.
It's pretty.
Yeah, mix it up really good too.
So how are you gonna fix that?
So I can use my finger. I would just run my finger across it. If I don't want to get my gloves messed up, I'll use a paint stick. You just always want to go with the pattern, right? I never want to like go across these veins.
Show them real quick.
So I would just run a paint stick, blend in, right? Get rid of it. If I wanted to blend like a hard edge in, I could run down this edge, blend that in a little bit more. A lot of options with this process. So you see it's almost all filled up, so we're getting close to having enough product out there. Resin's getting a little warm. We have let it sit for quite a while. And then, an easy way to like get rid of some color is you pour right over it as well. Like if I want to tone that guy down, I'll pour right over it. Kind of dissipates it, right? It's not as dark of a brown.
It's a.
Yeah. That's it, we're out. All right, guys, we are out of here behind the scenes. Thanks for joining. We'll probably do this a little more too, just some behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, thanks, appreciate it.
This video will be up soon.
Yeah, we'll launch this soon. I think we'll finish it tomorrow. Editing team will get it. We'll get it all edited. We'll get it on YouTube so you guys can watch how we built it. Obviously, the full process of coding and stuff like that.